once you've mastered stock plugins, do you have advice on looking for higher quality plugins? It seems like there are all kinds of categories of different sounds, like LA2A versus 1176 compressors, different EQ styles, etc.
Well, I guess I have two reactions to that question. If you've mastered the stock plugins, then why would you need any other plugins? If you feel like you know how to use them, okay, cool. But using them for what? How many applications? Because I still am perfectly happy. I don't. If I lost my iLok and all I had were stock plugins to mix with, I'm fine with that. I could mix. I feel confident I can mix a record with just stock plugins. But I would probably bitch and moan about the few that I know how to use to get to that sound faster. It would just take me longer to get there. So again, it's about efficiency. I tend to love this idea that you buy something and learn how to use it all the way to the end of its capability. Like, use it till it just you can't do anything else with it. You've tried every permeation, there's nothing else you could get out of it. And then the question is, what do you still need? And then that makes it easy to figure out what the next plugin is you should buy, because that should do the thing that you need it to do. I also don't think of plugins as being like permanent tools. And I guess I have a unique perspective on this because I actually have a wood shop and I buy physical tools all the time that do things for me in my wood shop. And I often think about the parallels between my behaviors in the wood shop and my behaviors in the audio shop. And when I buy a new hand plane, for example, I want to use it on everything because it's a new tool. And I'm the same way with a new plugin. Like, once I get a new plugin, I'm like, well, let me try it on this, let me try it on that, let me try it. And I always get myself in trouble because I don't know how to use it yet. When I'm at my best, I'm buying a specific tool because I need to do a specific job, and I'm so glad to have the tool that does that job quickly, easily, efficiently, accurately. But then once that job is over, that tool's going to go in the drawer, and I may not touch it again for a while. And the problem with plugins is I have an awful lot of tools that just sitting in the drawer dusty, you know? Like, I can't remember the last time I opened that plugin and used it. And you buy it, and so every time I buy a plugin, it's with that one use expectancy. I'm buying it for this mix, and it works for me here. And I know that the next mix, if I try to make it work in the next thing, it might not. And I might have spent a lot of time making something work that ultimately won't. So what I've come to rely on is, instead of buying new plugins, if you're not sure, I think Plugin Alliance offers a pretty compelling, I'm not here to sell their stuff, but I would for them. I think they're worth it. They just have a collection of plugins that is massive. And for like $240 a year or something like that, or $300 something a year, you get access to like hundreds of plugins. And some of them emulate a lot of really nice analog gear, and it's a great way to learn how to use some analog devices, maybe from the virtual perspective first. But I find, like, if I'm ever wanting, there's a few plugins outside of Plugin Alliance that I absolutely must have, but most everything else lives in that mega bundle, and I don't have to worry about shopping. And I don't have to feel bad that I'm not using a plugin, because I'm renting all of them. I don't own any of them, and it's there when I need it. I can download it when I need it and use it without having to pay for it. Every once in a while, there's something that comes up that I buy, but I think it's good if you're just trying to learn what different plugins do and what's out there. That's a great place to start, and taking it slow.
What's convenient about that is that almost all the plugins you use in Mixing Essentials are from Plugin Alliance.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's a good... It'd be nice if you could rent a pack of microphones to experiment with. Unfortunately, you can't. So hopefully you can get into a studio somewhere and try them, or go to a guitar center or something. But with plugins, that is possible. Get a month, try out a few of these and do it. I wonder if this question, Gabe, segues into the idea of, like, when you're first starting to mix, you don't maybe know exactly when you'd use an EQ. Or you don't know exactly when you'd use a compressor. And I think a lot of people use compression because they heard compression's needed. And I catch myself getting like a little triggered by that. It's like, oh, whoa, don't use compression if it's not needed. But there's almost this chicken and the egg situation where you don't know what a compressor does until you use it when it's not needed, and you start to learn what it is. And I think that same thing just evolves into this. I've used this EQ in that compressor. And now I understand what the basic elements of those tools do. But experimenting with an analog emulation device and then another one, or experimenting with some completely different tool like Soothe or something from OX Sound, you know, it gives you ideas of what these things do, so that then the next time you're in a situation, you remember, if this could just be made a little bit more like that plugin I tried.
Yeah.
You know, now you're mixing with intention. But I want to be clear that, like, I think there is a necessary step of not having intention, because intention comes with experience.
Yeah. I mean, nothing taught me about audio gear quite as much as having access to audio gear. You know, like when I started working at the power station, you know, anything I wanted to try, I had access. And so, and people would bring gear in for a session, and I get a chance to use it while they were there, and a few things I would buy for myself because I liked just having it around. And the studio had a ton of stuff, so I really learned what things sounded like. But I didn't know that all when I first started. I had to learn all that, and it becomes intuitive with repetition, and you kind of figure a lot of that out. But if you don't have a studio like the power station teaching you from the analog side, Plugin Alliance is a great way to go. I mean, it reminds me of another. Speaking of fantasy sports, I mean, here's an analogy, right? Like, if you think about Tiger Woods, the golfer, you know, he probably spent thousands of hours working on every club in the bag, right? Like, he learned how to use the putter, and then the sand wedge, and the 9-iron, and the 6-iron, and the driver, 3-wood, 5-wood. But I bet if you asked Tiger Woods to play an entire round of golf with just one club, he could probably do it. I bet he could hit the driver out of a sand trap. I bet he could. I don't think the average golfer could, but someone who spent that much time learning all of the clubs and how they work and how they function, what the limitations of those clubs are, knows how to manipulate them to the point where they could make them do whatever, you know? And we've seen the videos of him bouncing the golf ball on the face of the club, you know, like doing things that just seem impossible, like that. When you spend the time practicing that stuff and getting an intuitive sense for it all, it looks effortless and easy. And let me tell you, there's nothing easy about the game of golf. Even with all the clubs in your bag, all the nicest clubs in the bag, doesn't make you a good golfer. And I think the same is true with with audio people. I mean, I see people in the driving range when I go. It never ceases to amaze me how pissed off people get when they hit the ball and it goes right. And they get so angry. And I'm like, how often do you hit a golf ball? Like, do you hit 8,000 golf balls a day? Why do you expect it's going to go straight? Like, you just...
Well, that's me. It's like,
you know, like,
I'm lucky if I hit it at all. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the same way in audio. Like, if you're not getting a good mix, why? Are you mixing every day? Are you...
Yeah.
You know, is this all you're doing? Are you putting every essence of your being into it? Like, you have to respect that it's a craft and it takes time to learn. But with experience, you kind of build on, compound on experience, and eventually you get an intuitive sense for the tools.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think the further we go into, you send this project to this wizard or this AI that'll just do it for you. I mean, gosh, we got to appreciate that. That's a lot of what life's all about, is this opportunity we have to make mistakes, or not even make mistakes, do work that we tried our hardest on, it doesn't come out as we expected, and see that as, all right, that's another data point for my real intelligence to adapt to. It's
even more abstract than that. It's art. I mean, I was in London a few weeks ago, and I just happened to walk into the National Gallery. And it just kind of struck me, this is a museum full of paintings of people. And it's always the same kind of person, especially like in the Renaissance room. You walk in, it's all these like, you know, voluptuous nude women and dudes in robes and stuff. And it's like, this is like pop music. Like it's all the same subject matter. Why do we need all these different artists to redo the same paintings? Like, there could be 5 Madonnas in a row. Like, but everybody brings their own take to it. And none of it's wrong. All of it's different, but none of it's wrong. The way Vermeer does a portrait is very different than the way Raphael would do a portrait, and that's okay. When you get to a certain point, there's nothing but right answers, and the question is: are you just being yourself, and are you bringing something to it that's valuable from the human perspective, or not? And the tools are not there to do anything other than act as the conduit between what you naturally bring to the artistic process and the art. Nobody looking at the art at the end of the day or listening to your mix at the end of the day will know if you used a Fairchild plugin or the actual hardware. No one should be able to hear that and know. But if you're able to make the music compelling, whether you're doing it with stock plugins or Fairchild emulators, if you're moved by it, that's the success. And if you can bring something new to the way you feel when you listen to music, that's the goal. So I don't think the things like Veramu compressors stand in the way of us doing that work. I think we get caught up in that so much of the time. If I mixed a track and it makes you feel great, so what if I didn't use a Fairchild compressor? Who cares? Just because I didn't spend $50,000 on the bus compressor doesn't mean it wasn't a good mix. It should be indistinguishable from stock plugins. If you really mastered the process of art making, then the tools are never in your way. And so it's great to learn new tools and awesome, but I bet Babe Ruth could hit the ball out of the park with any bat you handed him. I don't think that was the bat that made him special. And I think that's something we just have to remember every once in a while, that it's not fair to expect that the tools are going to grant us access to something we couldn't otherwise have. They're a means to an end. And, at the end of the day, what do you want, a drill or a hole? No one knows how the hole was made. They just see the hole.
Yeah.
Just make a really good hole.
Yeah, exactly. If the means start becoming more important to you than the end, then, maybe you're playing the wrong game at that point.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.